I have always used UV filters, mostly for protection's sake. When I'm in the field, there's often foreground like bushes and stuff that I'm sticking the camera into, and there's a good chance of twigs and whatever else hitting the glass. So by putting a UV filter on, I'm just protecting my investment. But I've heard a lot of pros say do not use them. It really affects your image quality. So I did a side-by-side comparison with my R5 in the studio. I used 5000K light, and I just did a side-by-side photo, take the filter off, and then take another photo. So let's jump into Lightroom and see how these images compare. Right here, if you take a look at where my mouse is, that is the name of the file. So you can tell the difference between UV filter and no filter. So let's go back and forth here. UV filter. It almost looks a little darker. Yeah, I want to say it looks a little darker. We'll zoom in here in a bit. The color is a little different, definitely a little bit different here. The UV filter, I don't know, kind of, the black looks more black. Like it looks like there's more contrast with the UV filter. Settings are the same, 5050, 5050, 15, 15, yes. Let's make sure the profile correction, okay, it's on for both of them. Maybe we turn it off for both, just cause. Okay, yeah, let's zoom in, because I'm having a hard time telling quality difference right now. So we're zoomed in, we can see the EOS R. I focused on the Canon logo, so that was my focus point for both photos. And I only took one photo of each, so if it's screwed up, my bad. UV filter, non-UV filter. Is it just me, or is the UV filter image better? Straight up, like, tell me in the comments if it's just me, or does the UV filter actually look better? So let's really zoom in on that Canon logo. Maybe there's a little bit more fringing with the UV filter. Oh, I don't know. It looks comparable. Like, these look like they compare in image quality. I don't see a lot of detail loss. Let's go a little closer here. So the highlights look a little more tamed with the UV filter. So UV filter, yeah, UV filter, the highlights look like they're more tame. Like, it looks like you almost duck the highlight slider down a little bit. If we look at the histogram, that's exactly what it's showing. It's showing it's a little bit darker. Exact same settings, a little bit darker. So how much UV, like, how much of the light going to your sensor is UV light? And is this just blocking that? Is that what is happening here? I'm not too sure, but the histogram tells me, the histogram's telling a story, and that story to me is the UV filter does seem to keep highlights in check. All of the highlights are down, but the shadow, yeah, and the shadow's even boosted a little bit. That's what this is telling me, at least the histogram. And when I look at it, that's kind of my first impressions as well, is with the UV filter, the highlights look like they're kept in check. Without the UV filter, it's a lot more like there. Looks like a little bit of, like, it looks a little more blue, but maybe that's just because the highlights are a little more in check per se. Like, when I look at sharpness, I don't see a negative to the filter. I'm not seeing a big enough difference, and this is RF glass with the R5, so 45 megapixels and RF glass. Like, you're not going to get any sharper, and the sharpness is comparable. The settings are the same, I'm pretty dang sure, all the way across the board here. Yep, all the way across the board. So settings are the exact same all the way across. It's hard to say. It's honestly kind of hard to say. They look equally sharp. They look equally good. I did f4 so that, you know, we can get a little bit more in focus. If we take a look at this Canon logo, yeah, it's comparable. I don't see any sharpness loss from using the UV filter. The noise looks like it's about the same. If anything, the UV filter almost makes it a little sharper because the highlights are kept in check, and all of these little tiny like specks, that's just reflection of light. It's a black camera, so all of those, like everything you see is just the reflection of light, really. And that's why it's texturized like that, is to reflect the light and make the Canon logo visible, right? So the UV filter kind of cuts those highlights and almost makes it better. Makes it almost look a little sharper when it's probably equally sharp. It's almost like a small edit is applied to my photo before me doing edits. So let's take a look here. We're gonna zoom out. Look at the two. UV filter, no UV filter. UV filter. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the same. Highlights are being kept in check. It's almost like I want to say like 50K difference when it comes to temperature. Not a huge difference. It might be the same. Maybe it's just the fact that UV light is often carried in like a blue kind of I don't know, that's where it kind of comes off as. So when you're shooting in nature and stuff, you'd use a UV filter to kind of cut through that blue haze. I have a really nice one that I used to use on the 16-35 that really it helps so much with landscape photography, and I think that's what we're seeing here as well, is that it's kind of cutting out the blues a little specifically. So side-by-side comparison, I mean, you all tell me, what one do you like better? Do you like one better, this one right here, number 1, or do you like number 2 better? And I'll go back and forth, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then just check to see in the name here which one you like better, and let me know in the comments, because I'm actually inclined to say that I like the UV filter. I like how it looks. This is not an expensive UV filter either. It's a Tiffen UV filter, and it was under $200. And yeah, like there is some color difference, but it's almost preferable, because I feel like the UV filter looks more natural, at least in 5000K lighting. This is, again, 5000K lighting in a studio, controlled conditions, not outside with whatever. At least in this situation, the UV filter looks more natural in color than the non-UV filter. And then I'm just going to zoom in here and check the fringing here, just because I'm interested. So UV filter. Okay, yeah, that's not horrible. Honestly, you tell me. Do you see a big difference? I don't see a big difference. I'm not seeing any negative to having that UV filter on my lens. They did a really good job with this. So it says it's a Tiffen UV protector. I think there's a pro and a non-pro. I'm pretty sure I got the pro. I'm pretty sure it was under $200. It wasn't expensive. I was like, yeah, let's get it. Protect my lens. Because I've had a UV filter protect my lens before. There's been times you set your camera down and you're like, oh, the lens cap's not on. The UV filter, takes that hit. And when I'm filming and I'm going through that foreground, it just gives me a layer of protection so that when twigs or whatever else coming at it is coming at it, my lens isn't getting scratched up. And you spend thousands of dollars on these lenses. Why not protect them? Especially if the image quality isn't going to suffer. Like, the image quality did not suffer on this. And this is, again, not an overly expensive filter, so I see no con really, unless you want that, kind of slightly more highlight blue tone that the UV, like the UV light, I guess, gives, unless you want that. I don't see why not have this on your camera and protect your lens, protect your investments. And look, a lot of creators, I enjoy a lot of really awesome artists, they're very anti UV filter, and I understand it. I understand you spend big money for your camera, why not use that glass, because that's high quality glass. But in this comparison, like as you can see, looking with me here, this is nothing we couldn't edit around. This and if anything, the UV filter cutting out those highlights, it almost looks better. So you be the judge. You judge for yourself. Take a look and tell me in the comments what you think, because for me, I'm gonna be keeping the UV filter on all of the time. It's easier to clean. It protects my camera. I like the look that it gives my pictures. So yeah, I'm gonna throw one on every single one of my lenses to protect every single one of my lenses, and I'm going to continue using them. That being said, I have used cheap UV filters before, and they were horrible. Like one I had gave a horrific blue looking tone. I could not take the color shift. Other one had crazy lens flares. If you are going to get one, make sure to get a decent quality one with really good reviews. This Tiffen one was suggested to me by the shop owner. And I had a good rapport with the shop owner. They were really kind to me. They price matched everything. They were awesome all the way through, and so I trusted him. I got it. He told me that there shouldn't be much color shift. There shouldn't be any changes in sharpness, and as I saw here through this test, yeah, there isn't a huge amount of color shift. There's a very, very, very small amount of change between the two images, one with the UV filter having a little less highlight and yeah, a little bit of different color, but for the most part I like it better. But the sharpness is there. The sharpness has not suffered through putting a extra layer of glass on this lens. So you be the judge of whether or not that is worth it to you. Again, this one does not flare crazy for me. I've had ones in the past that were horrible, and maybe if you had bad experience with a UV filter like that in the past, I can see why you'd be hesitant. But this Tiffen one, it's amazing. It does a great job. If there's a pro version, make sure to get the pro version, because I'm pretty sure there's two offered to me and I chose the pro version. But seriously, this is amazing. Incredible way to just protect your camera. So I hope this video was helpful to you, and if you like this type of content, make sure to let me know. Thumbs up, whatever. I'm just doing this stuff for my own educational purposes and figured why not make a video so that others can see what I'm seeing. So let me know in the comments what you think, and until next time, peace.